the journey about myself and how Figure8 was started really is how I'm bridging the gap between tech to health tech, medical technology, because the medical technology really is how tech people like myself can make a bigger impact in the world, from our perspective.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Nan-Wei Gong, founder and CEO at Figure8. Nan, how are you today?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Appreciate you spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about Figure8.
Oh, absolutely. So I am the founder and CEO of Figure8. I am trained as an engineer, and my whole career I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've started 3 companies, Figure8 as the third. I've founded and started companies that's really tech focused and sold one to Google on gesture recognition. And the journey really started when I was a graduate student at the MIT Media Lab when I completed my PhD in wearable computing. A lot of the genesis of Figure8 comes from the long-term collaboration in the Boston ecosystem where MIT, Mass General Hospitals, the Boston Red Sox work on how do we quantify the quality of human movement so that we can bring insight into musculoskeletal health. So the journey about myself and how Figure8 was started really is how I'm bridging the gap between tech to health tech, medical technology, because the medical technology really is how tech people like myself can make a bigger impact in the world, from our perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dig in a little bit to Figure8 and what you do there.
Yeah. So we're solving the problem of how little information we have in musculoskeletal health. That's like my back pain. And,
Sure.
1 in 2 Americans have a musculoskeletal issue. But if you go to a physical therapist, what they do is they will ask you to move around and then do a visual hands-on assessment. And there's no difference between the standard that we have today to the standard that's hundreds of years ago before a thermometer is created. It's like this. Do you have a cold hand?
Yep.
Or is it because the weather? So we know so much about everything else. Like if you ask anyone what's the mileage on your car, they know. But if you ask them, what's wrong with your back, they don't know. So what we do is we bring technology into healthcare that can quantify the severity or the progress that you make as you recover or improve in your musculoskeletal health.
And get into the tech end of it a little bit. How are you going about capturing that data?
Yeah. So what's so exciting about Figure8 is, when you tackle a big problem, you have to pick how are you solving it? The way we solve it is biomechanics, sports science, or a way of quantifying how the elites move and recover. It's nothing new. There are many biomechanics lab using technology, just like how you see in the Avatar 3D movies.
Sure.
Right? Those are a room full of cameras, lots of things on body. It takes hours to set up. But then you have a really good understanding of how well Tom Brady is moving or recovering. That's just not available for everyday people. So what we did is we take decades of research in biomechanics and using that knowledge, use the advancement of wearable computing. Now everything is portable, wearable. Everyone has a smartwatch or a mobile phone. The technology has advanced so much that we can create something that can capture like the type of information on your joints, muscle, just like those sports science lab, but in a much, much smaller form factor and in a price point that's affordable for everyone.
That's amazing.
Um,
So, yeah, for most people, if you have a back problem, the first thing you have to figure out, is it cause or effect? And there's this sort of analysis you mentioned with a physical therapist, or you're throwing thousands of dollars at an MRI very quickly. So
mhm.
this is certainly bridging the
Yeah.
gap between those modalities.
And the problem with an MRI or an X-ray is it's a static image. But most of the problem that we have is active. It's about movement. It's about the function. It's about, should I go run that marathon next week? I don't feel so well. It's not a static motion. So we solve the problem of access, accuracy, and the data that doesn't exist, especially in the day and age of AI. If there isn't a lot of digital information, there's nothing to learn.
Amazing. And what's the origin story? When did Figure8 come to be?
We just celebrated our 7th year. So 7 years ago, that was when I'm working on a lot of projects when I run a consulting company. I realized that the technology in wearables, when we talk about wearables in the 2000s in my group at MIT, we mean that the computer is small enough to be put in a backpack. And you can carry a huge battery in your backpack and walk around. It's wearable. But finally, wireless communication, the sensor design, and battery technology, everything has come to fruition about 7, 8 years ago. And the concept of wearables was really put in front of the public through companies like Fitbit.
Mhm.
So for me, that's time to use this concept to really disrupt the industry of understanding MSK Health through objective data.
Now, in terms of disrupting the industry, do you have competition? Are there other people in this space?
So most of the technologists, like myself, go directly to consumer or to elite athletes because that's a very easy way to think about access. And we can go sell to the Red Sox, to the Patriots, but we go in a very, very different route. We work with clinics.
Mhm.
And we really work on having this type of assessment as a medical procedure, as opposed to this is a out-of-pocket payment. So we do not have competition in the way we are solving the problem, which is creating access through also reimbursement, through really understanding how care is delivered outside of, just team physicians or, the Equinox, that's the fancy gyms.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that we understand the ecosystem of US healthcare and try to find a way to be added to the workflow. So yes and no. Technology, absolutely, people work on it, but access, no one is solving the access problem the way we are.
You use the word reimbursement, which I assume means that the insurance companies have recognized the value in your work and your technology and are supporting it.
Yes, we did. We were granted a CPT code by the American Medical Association last year. So this is a procedure that is recognized by the American Medical Association with the societal support from PT and orthopedics.
Congratulations, that's not easy to come by.
Absolutely.
And other than the obvious in terms of helping diagnose, what are the most typical problems you're helping solve for your clients?
So for an industry like this, there are so many different types of conditions and different paths to treat the conditions, right? People can say, I would just get a massage, or I would do a acupuncture plus heat pad. Like there are so many ways to look at a problem without knowing which one works, which one doesn't. So we do believe in the providers and the profession of physical therapy. And we really can help them prove the value on the path that they take, on the care pathways that you design for your patients or just the people you work with. And we can prove the value, improve the progress, and increase adhesion. Sometimes I said, why do people study for tests? The online universities don't work because it's for you to be motivated to do this homework. People prepare for it because there's an exam, then you can quantify the progress. You're prepping for the GRE, for the SAT, whatever exam that is at the end of the period. So the way that we have these therapy sessions, the difficulty of explaining value and progress is it's really like having a tool so that we know everyone uses and everyone trusts. Almost like a credit score.
Sure. But hey, it's impossible to quantify a person's discomfort, and not everyone is fluid in being able to describe cause and effect that's going on in their body. So to be able to quantify that sort of thing and remove the subjectivity from it is amazing.
And another important thing is when you are in pain or you have discomfort, the biggest challenge is it musculoskeletal? Is it neuromuscular? Is it a tumor? What is it? So by looking at the progress someone makes throughout the, say, if it's MSK route, then you will know if you're improving like from this diagnosis. And sometimes pain is something that, can last for a long time, but the recovery will show in the data before you can feel it. So we really see how we can help the patients and the provider to work together on measuring progress or the lack of progress to really, hone in on what's the real issue and whether you're solving it or not.
Excellent, excellent. Switch gears a little bit. The last couple of years have been fairly challenging for most businesses to grow through COVID. And you're enabling physical therapists to help people, but I'm sure that appointments dropped like a stone for the first year or two of COVID. Tell me about the challenges or opportunities of growing a business like yours through COVID.
Yeah, so the challenge, it was a huge challenge for all of our customers during COVID. In fact, we were not even in healthcare before COVID. We have worked with major athletic brands, teams. We were about to participate in the Tokyo Olympics, and everything was canceled overnight. So we really spent COVID like focusing on the healthcare strategy and understanding how can we spend the time like not being able to see patients or just the members of the clubs, but work on the longer term. Like how can we come up with building strategy? How can we come up with more data to prove value in healthcare in different categories so that we're best positioned in the place where we are today, which is a 2-year business really in healthcare.
And how have you been able to reach? Obviously, you've gone from reaching small athletic organizations and having a focus down here to more of the overarching corporate sort of approach to making this accessible. How have you guys managed in your messaging to reach that audience?
I think the core is always the same. The technology has been the same. It's just how do you describe the value you present? Like for payer, insurance company, they really want to make sure that they understand what's the status of the claims. For providers, they want to know how can they communicate with the payers and the patients in an effective way, which is a little bit different from for an athletics trainer, like just communicating the progress of someone's training program. So the difference is just how we design the software and the report. But the core is the same. We have something that can measure musculoskeletal health and the recovery progress. So the value is the same, in the past 7 years. It's just how we package the report and how we think through workflow, which is very different between different industry. Even every clinic is a little bit different.
Well, and in any industry, explaining and convincing people of the value of what you do is step one, right? It has to be. All right, let's look down the road a year from now. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Yeah, so we are a new entity commercially, right? We just entered healthcare. And we have a lot of early adopter really jumping in and working with us. And some of the customers and partners that we have really said, like, we know this is going to change our industry. we know it's happening and we want to work on it with you. So in the next year, we are really deploying. We are currently in 14 different states. We want to cover all the states. We want the early adopter to adopt, but we also want the late majority to start working with us and recognizing the value. Because the value really is for everyone. It's not like we are a company designed for patients or designed for insurance companies, but we are providing data so that everyone can be a win-win-win situation. We started with measuring the progress. And what is really exciting for us is now that we know so much about the conditions and the recovery pathways, we will be able to start assisting in diagnostic and start, really leveraging the AI machine learning algorithms to predict the outcome and choose a personalized pathway with the amount of data that we are gathering right now. And that really is so exciting for me personally, who has been suffering from musculoskeletal pain, to be able to just know a lot more about my health in an industry that is always underserved.
Excellent. I love it. All right, please tell us, what's your URL? Where can people find Figure8? And what social media channels are you using these days as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We are at www.figure8tech.com, and we are on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Nan-Wei Gong of Figure8, thank you so much for what you do, and I appreciate your time here on Business Ninjas today. All the best to you and yours, and continued success at Figure8.
All right, thank you very much.